Let's now go to our panel of wisdom. The two Michaels, former Victorian Liberal Party President Michael Kroger and former New South Wales Labor Treasurer Michael Costa. Gentlemen, welcome along.
Chris.
Good evening.
That's a good place to start, I guess, the concept of making travellers get a COVID test before they depart for Australia, because that's what Qantas will do to its passengers. Is Hazard right, Peter, Michael Kroger, is Hazard right in saying, it's too hard to make sure that other departure points ensure that this occurs, or should we give it a try?
Well, I'd give it a try. I mean, Brad makes a very good point. What's the quality of testing in some of these other countries? Without wanting to pick any country out, just say you came from China, for example, from Wuhan, with a test saying it was negative. Would that be enough for anybody? Probably not. So as long as it's certified by a government over there, and the Australian government would say, well, we rank that as, a good test or an unreliable test. But in any case, I think people should have two tests before they come because of the incubation period.
Yeah.
And secondly, they should be tested again whilst they're here, Chris.
Yep,
so
exactly.
I don't think why limit the testing? I mean, we're trying to limit the spread of the virus. So I went and had a test on, I think, Thursday. It's awkward, but, it's got to be done, and everyone in Australia knows that. And it's something we are all in together, which is getting the testing. So why you wouldn't do it? In reliable countries, you should do it.
Michael Costa, why is New South Wales doing all the heavy lifting and the other states seem to be a long, long way down the line?
Well, I think in terms of the contact tracing, there's certainly New South Wales is the gold standard. But look, even this recent event shows that even the best performing state, New South Wales, has got a long way to go as well. I mean, this virus has come into New South Wales from somewhere. There's been a failure in the system, and it's most likely at the airports. There really needs to be a focus on trying to get all of those weak links in the chain dealt with. In terms of the testing, I think it should be mandatory. I know you're coming from countries that have got weak regimes, but the expectation that, that we're going to handle it at this end without any forewarning of potential problems is, a recipe for putting complex systems under real pressure. So I think we should have testing mandatory, and put the onus on the passenger to verify it. Go to their doctor and somebody that's certified and has the appropriate qualifications before they even get on the plane. And I think we've got to do that also with diplomats and all the other loopholes in this system, because the economic cost is just enormous of not doing this.
Yeah, I agree. We could at least give it a try. Now, 2 Australian states have barred residents from all of New South Wales from entering their states because of Sydney's Northern Beaches cluster. The rest are barring all of Greater Sydney. Michael Kroger, WA and Queensland, they treat the entire state as some kind of hotspot. It is out of control and disproportionate to the way they should be leading in this pandemic.
It is, but politics is ruling a lot of this. And, the public have decided that they want an eradication strategy. And the premiers in those states are basically following, public opinion. So McGowan, who has been running this idea for months that, we're a separate country to everywhere else, he's got very popular ratings. And that's basically because the public don't want the virus anywhere near them. So a premier that says, I'm going to keep it out, the public basically say, well, that's fine. Yep. So they're backing the premier. So, it's Groundhog Day, mate. That's where we are.
It's an eradication strategy. It's not a suppression strategy.
Correct.
Michael Costa, I want to talk about the Victorian quarantine findings. I've already spoken to Michael O'Brien and Peter Credlin, but with the Premier apologising the way he did, I would have thought there's plenty of room for class action after all of this.
I'm sure there's going to be massive damages cases. But look, just on the report itself, I find it extraordinary. And also another example of the decline of the Westminster responsibility principle, that somebody can sit at the top of the government, say the buck, stops with me, and then not take responsibility. I thought that report was damning. I mean, it didn't focus on any particular individual, but the mismanagement, the shambolic government processes, surely the Premier is responsible for all of that. And whether he knew about the decision or not, there needs to be, a standing up to this principle of ministerial and responsibility here. And yes, there will be damages, and I think it's going to be an extraordinary amount because that report is damning. But I also support the view that there ought to be a Royal Commission into this because, and I don't support normally Royal Commissions willy-nilly, but this report is just so damning, they've got to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, exactly. We've heard what you think about this, Michael Kroger. I want to ask you one question about the great Doug Anthony. He passed away over the weekend, 90 years of age. What a contributor to the progress of this country.
Yeah, what a great Australian, and he stood firm with Malcolm Fraser, particularly in 1975, and he's the last of the great quartet to pass away. John Kerr, 91, Whitlam, then Fraser 5 or 6 years ago, and now Doug Anthony is leader of the Country Party, National Party. A great Australian, and sympathies go to his wife and family, and particularly Larry, one of his sons who I know, and yeah, what a great Australian. Anthony, Sinclair and Nixon, they were the great days of the National Party, and their relationship with Malcolm Fraser and Philip Lynch in the Liberal Party and Reg Withers in those days was very close, and an iconic figure in Australian politics, and very, very sorely and sadly missed.
Well said. Michael Kroger, Michael Costa, thank you both for your time.